Some will, some won't, some do, some don't. Today, I'm going to take you through how to overcome any sales objection. And I think a lot of people in sales are very, very, I guess, thrown off when they get a sales objection. I actually like getting a sales objection. I know that sounds crazy, but I love it when I get a sales objection, because what it means is that I've got somebody who's either interested and I'm going to get them towards buying from me, or they're not interested and I'm going to move them away from buying from me, but I'm getting to a decision point. And really, when you think about the sales process, the most exciting time is the time when your prospect is about to make a decision. Whether it's to buy from me or not, doesn't matter. You know, I understand that not everybody is going to buy from me, and I'm not going to get stuck in that optimism track thinking that everyone's got to buy from me. The reality is that some people will, some people won't. And I think that's a saying that I've always had in sales is some will, some won't, some do, some don't. However, there are techniques that you can use to help you overcome sales objections. So if somebody says to you, I want to think about it, it's too expensive, I don't have time, it's not the right color, I'm not sure about it, whatever the objection might be, I'm going to give you a 5-step process for overcoming that. So let's say you get a sales objection. You get to the end of the sales point, someone says to you, yeah, it's really good, but I'm just not sure about it. I don't think I can afford it. All right. So you've got an objection. The first thing you want to do is let me say the last thing you want to do is start an argument, right? So I never ever say they're wrong. I don't want them to feel dumb for having an objection. I want to thank them, right? So the first step 1 of my 5-step process is to say thanks, which is gratitude, right? So show gratitude. Explain to them that you're grateful that they've brought this up. Now, the way you do that in your own language, what I do is I say, thank you for letting me know. That's pretty much it, right? Now, there's a couple of things that happen when we do that. First of all, is it shows them that you're listening, and that's really important in the sales process, is that you want to be able to connect with your prospect to the point where they feel like they can trust you and they can trust in you based on the fact that you're actually listening to what they're saying. So you're not just focused on selling what you've got to sell, but you're actually focused on what their needs are and their wants are. So this is what this does, right? So the first thing is by saying, look, thank you so much for letting me know. It shows that you're listening. The second thing it does is it gives them a little treat and disarms them, because you know, by saying thank you, they may be expecting you to argue with them, going, "What? You can afford this? What, are you dumb?" No, what they expect so they're not expecting you to go, "You know what? Thank you for letting me know. I really appreciate that you're being open and honest with me about your financial situation," or thanks for letting me know. I'm really, really grateful that you're being open and honest about, you know, your time constraints or your buying process or whatever it might be. Right? Just thank them, because what it does is disarms them. They know you're not going to make an attempt to argue with them. You're grateful that they've given you the feedback, and you can move on with the process. Step 2 then is show empathy, right? And that's as simple as saying, I understand. That's all it is. I understand. And you may have heard of the feel, felt, found technique before. That's I understand how you feel. Others have felt the same in the past, but what I have found is, that's the feel, felt, found. Now, what that really plays on is empathy, right? So, you know, in this process, we say, thank you for letting me know, I understand. And that shows empathy, and that shows that you actually get the situation they're in. So here's how I do it. Let's say they said to me, "But Ben, I can't afford it." I would say, "Oh, thanks so much for letting me know that you can't afford it. I'm grateful that you're being upfront with me and letting me know about your financial situation. And let me tell you, I understand. I understand that right now, based on all the information we have, that it's possible that you could think you couldn't afford this." Okay? So what I've done there is I've shown gratitude and I've shown empathy, just in that little, 10, 15-second snippet of words, a couple of sentences, very simple. Third step then is to isolate the objection. Now, this is really important, and I find it's one that a lot of people in sales don't handle very well. And when I talk about isolating the objections, the last thing you want to do is overcome an objection just to be confronted with a second one or a third one or a fourth one, right? It just becomes a never-ending barrage of objections. So the idea is that you want to isolate it. Now, the way that we do that is we say, besides the fact that, and then we read back their objection. So let's use the can't afford one as the example here. So besides the fact that you don't feel that you can afford this solution, is there anything else that's stopping you from going ahead with me today? Okay, now what that does is it isolates the objection. Now, they've got one of two choices at this point in time. They can say, yep, I also don't like the color or the delivery times, or maybe I don't like your company. Or they could go, no, that's it. That's the only thing stopping me is the fact that I just don't think I can afford it. Now, that's good news, because if they've said that, then you've isolated the objection. It's the only objection. If they do say, no, I'm also not sure about delivery times, whether they suit me or not, then you could say, look, okay, well, thanks for letting me know. I understand. So gratitude, empathy. And then we go back into isolation. So besides the fact you don't feel like you can afford this or the delivery times don't suit, is there anything else that's stopping you? Okay, so you can see what I'm doing there. I'm just slowly isolating all the objections because what I want to get to is a point where they go, no, that's it. So I'm going to say, thanks so much for letting me know. I understand. Besides those two things, is there anything else that's stopping you from going ahead with me today? And when they say no, then I can go on to step 4. And step 4 is to get agreement. And we're going to get agreement that if we can overcome those things, that we can look at moving forward. And the way I do this is I say, great, I understand. So I would say, thanks so much for letting me know. I understand that because of these two things, it may not be the right time for you. Is there anything else? You say, no, great. Well, if we can overcome those two things, can we agree then that it would be worthwhile having a look at moving forward? Or would it be okay if we then look at, the getting a delivery date set? Or if we, can we get a deposit or get the paperwork done or whatever your process is, right? But what I want to do is I want them to say to me, yes, if you can overcome those couple of issues, that I'm happy to move forward. And, you may not use the words move forward. It's a bit, politician-like, not great at the moment given the whole political situation here in the country. But you want to have some sort of next course of action. So I might say something like that. Look, if we can solve those two issues for you, would you be happy to get the paperwork done today? And that's as simple as it is, right? So if they go, yep, all right, well, guess what? Now you can go on to the next part of the process. Step 5, which is discovery, which is where we go into asking open-ended questions to work out how to overcome those two issues. Because that's the most important and critical part, is that if you've gone through this process, you now have to work with your prospect to overcome these issues. So, for example, if they said they can't afford it, well, then you need to start going into this discovery mode where you'll ask them open-ended questions about why, how, when, where, what, and how. They're all the question starters that I would use. Open-ended questions to discover why they feel they can't afford it, what they can afford, when do they think they could afford it, how do they think they could afford it, or whatever the questions might be. I'd start that conversation so I could get to the point where they were in a situation where they could buy from me, or they could think about buying from me, or maybe we set a date in the future where we come back and revisit the whole purchasing process, whatever it might be. But by following these 5 steps, I can guarantee one thing will happen for sure. You'll get to the end of your sales meeting and you'll be able to get a definitive answer, a yes or a no. That's what I really want to get to. Now, if they say I want to think about it, I do the same thing. I say thank you. I give them gratitude. And I know this is an objection that many people struggle with, but I just say thanks so much for letting me know that you're taking this so seriously that you want to think about it. I understand. So I go to empathy now. I understand. I understand this is a big decision for you and it's something that you want to mull over in your brain. Besides the fact that you've got something that's important to you want to think about, is there anything in particular that is stopping you or that you need to think about? Is it I might then start giving them suggestions. Is it price? Is it color? Is it delivery? Is it our company? You don't like me? Whatever it might be. And then do the same process. So it works really, really well. Doesn't matter what circumstance, doesn't matter what sort of business you're in. This process works gangbusters. So to summarize the 5 steps, first is gratitude, thank them. Second is empathy, so I understand. Third then is isolate the objection or objections so you don't get any extras. Fourth is then get an agreement that if we overcome those, we can move forward. And fifth then is the discovery process where we ask more open-ended questions. I want to remind you, we do have a Facebook page and a closed Facebook group. So just look up the DBT podcast on Facebook and you will find both of those. Come and join the conversation. We're having a right old party there where we're sharing additional tips. In fact, just recently I shared a free logo creation tool on the Facebook page at DBT podcast in the group, the Facebook group. So head across there and you'll get all these other little tidbits that we share, and you can ask questions there. You can even suggest ideas for tips or ask a question and I'll use it as a tip idea to do a daily business tip. All right, as usual, I'm going to finish with a quote, and today's quote is by Wayne Gretzky, and he says, "You missed 100% of the shots you don't take." So true. Until tomorrow, have a profitable day.